All right, so today we're going deep on something you might think is basic at first.
Oh.
Yeah, basic. But it's the vocabulary of the human body.
Okay.
We're using this Spanish language learning video as a guide, and
Interesting.
I know you might be thinking,
Yeah.
wait, I don't speak Spanish.
Right.
But trust me, this is about way more than just memorizing some words. It's about finding those fascinating stories that are kind of hidden in language.
Like we're going on this anatomical treasure hunt.
Right.
Yeah, unearthing the cultural nuances and like the historical echoes just embedded in the words we use to describe ourselves.
Exactly.
You'd be surprised how much these words reveal about a culture's values.
Okay, so let's start with the head.
Okay.
Specifically the face.
Right.
You know that part of us that's always like on display?
Yeah.
Communicating even when we're not saying anything.
Always.
The video uses both cora and rostro for face.
Huh.
And they're technically synonyms, but
Yeah.
rostro has this more poetic,
Oh.
almost literary vibe.
That's a great example of how language reflects values.
Isn't it?
Like how much emphasis Spanish culture puts on art and passion and expression.
Right.
So it makes sense that even a word like face would have a more nuanced option.
Exactly. And it's not even just about aesthetics.
Right.
Like think about how we use countenance in
Yeah.
English.
Oh, yeah.
It's not just about the features you see,
Uh-huh.
but also what those features reveal about their character or their emotions.
That's a good point.
Right?
Yeah, and that depth of meaning is just baked right into rostro.
I know it.
It's not just a description. It's like
Yeah.
a glimpse into their soul.
So getting back to the actual features of the face,
Yeah.
I was struck by how the word for crown of the head,
Mm-hmm.
which is coronilla, comes from corona, meaning crown.
Oh, wow.
I mean,
yeah.
come on.
I love a good origin story.
Me too, and that's not all.
What else?
The word for chin, barbilla, is related to barba, which means beard.
Interesting.
And this is where it gets really interesting. Historically, beards have been associated with masculinity and wisdom
Right.
and social status
Makes sense.
in a lot of cultures.
For sure.
So it's fascinating how those associations are like woven into language.
Yeah, it makes you wonder if men with big beards subconsciously feel more powerful.
Right.
Because the word for chin is literally connected to beard.
Exactly.
Language has a way of shaping how we see things, even when we don't realize it.
Okay, now for a word that's just fun to say,
Okay, let's hear it.
moflate,
Moflate.
which means cheek.
Okay.
And get this, someone with big cheeks is called
What?
mofletudo.
No way.
I can't help but picture like a cartoon character
Yeah.
with these ridiculously puffy cheeks.
That's great.
Right.
Yeah, that's a great way to remember it.
It is.
And it kind of speaks to the power of humor to make language learning more engaging.
Speaking of making things memorable,
Uh-huh.
did you know the space between your eyebrows
Yeah.
is called entrecejo?
Interesting.
It's amazing how even tiny movements there can totally change your expression.
It really can.
Like, have you ever noticed how people furrow their entrecejo when they're concentrating?
Now that you mention it.
Right.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
It is a testament to the power of nonverbal communication.
Totally.
It makes you wonder if Spanish speakers pay more attention to those little eyebrow movements.
Do you think so?
I don't know, but they have a specific word for it.
That's true.
It's like having a magnifying glass, just focusing on details we might miss otherwise.
Right.
Yeah.
So let's move down from the face
Okay.
and check out the arms.
All right.
So the video makes a distinction between brazo for the whole arm and antebrazo for the forearm.
Okay.
And apparently even native Spanish speakers mix those up sometimes.
Yeah.
It's funny. It is.
It's a good example of how, even within one language, there can be nuances that trip people up.
For sure.
It makes you realize how important precision in language is,
Absolutely.
especially in fields like medicine,
Oh my gosh, yeah.
where a misunderstanding could be really serious.
Can you imagine a surgeon saying brazo when they meant antebrazo?
Yikes.
Yeah. So moving on to hands.
Okay.
We've got nudillos for knuckles,
Right.
dedos for fingers,
Uh-huh.
and uñas for nails.
Gotcha.
You know, I've been thinking about hands a lot lately.
Really?
Yeah, like how much we express with them,
Mm,
how vulnerable they can be,
yeah.
how they connect us to the world.
That's interesting. You know, it's interesting how many cultures have specific hand gestures
Oh, yeah.
that have so much meaning.
Totally.
From greetings to blessings to insults.
Right.
Do you think having all this specific vocabulary for each part of the hand
Yeah.
makes those gestures even more significant?
Maybe it's like each word gives weight and intention to the gesture.
Could be.
Okay, let's shift gears and talk about the torso.
Right.
So we learn that pecho refers to the chest, like externally,
Okay.
while thorax refers to the internal chest cavity.
Huh.
So think about it this way.
Okay.
Pecho is what you see. It's the surface.
Oh.
Thorax is what's underneath.
Right.
Like the structure.
Yeah.
The heart and lungs working away.
So it's like the difference between admiring a building from the outside
Yes.
and then getting a tour of all the inner workings.
Exactly. And speaking of those inner workings,
Yeah.
we can't forget about the internal organs.
Of course not.
So the source mentions cerebro for brain,
Okay.
pulmones for lungs, estomago for stomach,
Right.
and intestinos for intestines.
Makes sense.
I'm curious, why do you think they focus so much on the external anatomy?
Well, this video seems geared towards language learners.
Right.
Who are mostly concerned with describing what they see in the world.
That's a good point. But
Yeah.
internal anatomy is important for communication, too.
Oh, yeah. For sure.
Especially with emotions.
Totally.
Like we talk about butterflies in our stomach or a heavy heart all the time.
That's true. And different cultures might even have different ways of thinking about the relationship. Internal organs and emotions.
Oh, interesting.
Like we associate the heart with love and emotion.
Right.
But in some Eastern cultures, the gut is seen as the seat of intuition and feeling.
Wow. That's fascinating.
Isn't it?
Okay, so let's get back to the external anatomy for a minute.
Okay.
We've made it to the legs.
Right.
Now you've got to tell me,
Yeah.
have you ever felt that burn in your quadriceps after a tough leg day at the gym?
Oh, yeah. Definitely.
It's the worst.
It is quadriceps, or quads as they're commonly known.
Right?
Are those powerful muscles at the front of your thigh?
Yeah.
Essential for walking, running,
Pretty much everything.
any activity that involves moving your legs.
Right. And it's not even just about physical activity.
Oh, yeah.
Think about all the cultural significance legs have.
Okay.
From high heels to yoga, poses to certain dance moves.
Right.
Like the way we use and adorn our legs can be incredibly expressive.
Yeah, that's a great point.
So it's like
yeah.
our legs are a canvas for cultural expression, reflecting all these societal norms and values.
I like that.
Okay, so we've journeyed from the cordinea to the quadriceps.
Haha, we have.
And we're just getting started.
Oh, yeah.
Stay tuned for part 2, where we'll continue exploring and uncover even more surprising connections.
Looking forward to it. Welcome back to our deep dive into the vocabulary of the human body.
So, you know,
Yeah.
one thing that's really stuck with me
Uh-huh.
is how much I take my own language for granted.
Really?
Yeah, like we use the word back for so many things.
Yeah.
Back of a house, the back of a book,
Yeah.
the back of our hand.
Right.
But in Spanish, they have a specific word just for the back of the hand,
Okay.
dorso,
Interesting.
which is also the word for back in general.
Oh, wow.
It makes you wonder if Spanish speakers have a more holistic view of the body,
How so?
like seeing the back as this continuous surface from their shoulders to their fingertips.
That's a really cool way to think about it.
Okay, so now let's talk about a word that's near and dear to my heart, barriga.
Arica.
That's Spanish for belly.
Oh.
And for some reason, it just makes me smile,
Yeah, it does have a nice ring to it.
doesn't it?
Maybe it's that soft, rounded sound.
Maybe.
Or because we associate bellies with nourishment and contentment.
Totally. It's like the word itself is a little hug.
I like that.
And speaking of hugs,
Yeah.
you know how sometimes you hug someone and you can feel their barriga pressing against yours?
Mm-hmm.
Well, there's another word for belly in Spanish.
Is there?
They can also refer to the womb,
Mm-hmm.
vientre.
Vientre.
It's like the word encompasses both the physical space
Yeah.
and the potential for life and creation.
That's pretty powerful.
It really is.
Like it's acknowledging that connection between the physical body
Yeah,
and bringing new life into the world.
exactly. So
Yeah.
moving down from the belly,
Okay.
let's talk legs.
All right.
The video explains that muslo,
Muslo.
is the area right below the glutes.
Okay.
You know where those powerful thigh muscles are? It's interesting how the word muslo itself
Yeah.
sounds strong and muscular.
It does.
Like you could feel the power of those muscles just by saying it.
That's true.
Right.
Yeah, it's not just a label for a body part.
No.
It evokes this feeling of strength.
And vitality.
Yeah.
Speaking of strong and vital,
Uh-huh.
let's not forget about pantorrilla,
Okay.
which refers to the calf muscle.
Oh.
I always love that word.
Really?
It sounds so elegant,
It does have a lyrical quality to it.
almost poetic.
And it makes sense when you think about what calf muscles do.
What do you mean?
They're responsible for that spring in our step,
Oh, yeah.
that graceful push-off when we walk or run.
And then there's the tabillo,
Cabello.
that often overlooked joint.
Oh, yeah.
that connects the foot to the leg.
The ankle.
We might not think about it much,
All right.
but it's essential for, well, everything.
Pretty much. Can you imagine trying to walk or dance without a properly functioning ankle?
I know, it'd be impossible.
The ankle allows for so much range of motion.
Yeah.
And flexibility.
And yet
it's so small.
So small.
And hidden.
It's like the unsung hero of our lower limbs.
I like that.
And speaking of feet,
Okay.
I love how the Spanish phrase for sole of the foot is planta del pie.
Okay.
Which literally means plant of the foot.
Oh, wow.
It's like they're saying our feet are our roots, our
Intuition.
connection to the earth.
It's beautifully symmetrical with palma de la mano.
Which
palm of the hand.
Oh, yeah?
It's like the language itself is recognizing that balance, that harmony in the human form.
Like our hands reach out.
Yeah.
While our feet keep us grounded.
I like that.
Okay, so before we wrap up this part of our deep dives, I
Uh-huh.
wanted to circle back to a word we mentioned earlier.
Okay.
Cuello,
Right.
meaning neck.
Right. The neck is so fascinating.
It is.
It's like this bridge between the head and the torso.
Yeah.
Housing all these vital structures.
Sure.
Like the spinal cord, blood vessels, nerves.
Right, and yet
it's so expressive.
it really is.
Conveying everything from a subtle nod to a dramatic tilt of the head.
And don't forget about necklaces.
Oh, right.
The neck is like the perfect canvas for showing off those sparkling adornments.
It's where beauty and function meet.
Right.
We adorn our necks with jewelry.
Yeah.
But at the same time, it's this essential pathway for communication and life force flowing between the brain and the body.
It's pretty incredible when you think about it like that.
It is.
So we've covered a lot of ground today.
Haha, we have.
From the barriga to the tibillo and everything in between.
And I don't know about you, but I'm feeling a newfound appreciation for this intricate language of the human body.
Me too. It's amazing how much depth and richness there is.
And in the final part of our deep dive, we'll explore how this understanding can actually influence how we see ourselves and others.
Welcome back to the final part of our deep dive into the vocabulary of the human body.
It's amazing how exploring these Spanish words has not only expanded our vocabulary, but given us a whole new perspective on the human form.
One thing that really struck me
is
how Spanish uses diminutives to express affection. Like instead of just saying barriga for belly, you can say barriguita, which means little belly.
It's so cute.
I know, it just sounds so endearing.
It does, and it speaks to the importance of physical closeness and affection in Hispanic cultures.
It's not just a word for a body part.
No, it's a term of endearment.
Yeah.
A way of expressing love and connection.
It makes you wonder if using those diminutives actually strengthens those bonds.
I think so.
Like if you're always referring to someone's little belly or their cute little nose.
Right.
Maybe it reinforces those feelings.
Those feelings of affection and tenderness.
Exactly. And on the flip side, think about words like mofletudo.
Oh, yeah.
It's not just descriptive. For someone with chubby cheeks,
it
could be used playfully or teasingly.
Yeah.
Reflecting a certain cultural acceptance.
Acceptance of playful banter.
Yeah.
About physical appearance.
So it's like language provides this framework for how we relate to each other, even when it comes to our bodies.
As we wrap up this deep dive, I want to leave you with this thought.
Okay.
How might having a richer, more nuanced vocabulary for the body impact our ability to communicate about health and well-being?
That's a great question.
If we have a deeper understanding of anatomical language, maybe we can be more precise when describing symptoms to our doctors.
Or more empathetic when talking to someone who's experiencing pain or illness.
Exactly. And it goes beyond the purely physical.
Right.
Think about how we use metaphors.
Like
a broken heart. Butterflies in our stomach.
Cold feet.
It's like our bodies become this language for emotions.
And are hard to put into words.
Exactly. So as we conclude this journey
through
the vocabulary of the human body, I hope you've gained a new appreciation for the power of language to shape our understanding.
I know, I have, and I encourage everyone listening
to
pay attention to the words you use to describe your body and the bodies of others.
You might be surprised by what you discover.
Absolutely.